What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video on my channel, and it's time for my 2020 AFL predictions for this new upcoming season that is about to get underway in a couple of weeks' time for the Marsh series. But also, round one is not too far away, less than 6 weeks to go. It's going to be a very exciting time for us footy fans, and look, everyone's got to do predictions for the season ahead and see how well they go. Now, last year was an absolute stinker by myself. I tipped Melbourne to win the premiership. I had Port Adelaide finishing inside the 8. I had, well, GWS made a grand final. I didn't even have them inside the 8. So I'm having a go again because simply I want to at least make up for my poor effort last year. So let's get straight into it. Let's go the 18 to first and see who's going to finish up where this AFL season. Here's my predictions for 2020. Coming in at 18th, wooden spoon for 2020 is going to be Gold Coast, probably the safest bet of the lot. They do have some youngsters, they do have some new recruits, and very much a possibility to win more than 3 games this season. Will they get off the bottom? That is a question that they'll have to answer themselves. I don't think so at this stage, with teams looking to be at least a step ahead or two going into this year. And I hope they do improve, but I tell you what, Tasmania is waiting if they don't get it right this year, I feel. 17th is the Fremantle Dockers. New coach, new optimism, new era for the club. Do I think they'll get the job done? No, I don't. And I feel sorry for the likes of Nat Fyfe and Michael Walters, who are talented enough, but I just feel like they're going to be missing a piece or two this year and won't get the job done. They probably will have 6 or 7 wins for the year, but just being that close of a competition, it's going to take a while for them to gel, and I feel they're going to take a step back before they take a step forward going into 2021. 16th, I have Sydney. Now, a lot of people are expecting Sydney to bounce back and make the 8. I feel like they're going to do the complete opposite. I think they're in that period now where there's a little bit of a rebuild. John Longmuir is looking to continue these youngsters and focus on building that youth and ready just in case there's a new era awaiting for their success this decade. No doubt they'll be back in a couple of years' time, but for now, they're going to be dwelling down in the bottom 4 and trying to make things right before they take the next step. This is where it gets controversial. 15th place. Now, this team finished in the 8th position last year, struggled to make the 8 towards the end. I can't believe I'm saying this, but going into 2021, they have a new coach, Ben Rutten. Essington will finish 15th. I know what you're saying. How the hell are Essendon going to finish 15th after making the 8 last year, and they just missed out on beating West Coast by 5 or 6 goals? Yeah, I get it. All right. But I think they're going to take a step back this year purely because I think they've got a new image they're looking for, a new vision, and going into 2021, Ben Rutten, I think they'll be better placed for him than they will be for John Worsfold. So, unfortunately, I don't see Essendon doing much this year, but that probably will surprise me. Finish top 4 and I'll be completely wrong again. 14th, I have the Adelaide Crows. Now, I feel like Adelaide will do a little bit more than what people are suspecting. Some people are even saying wooden spoon. I mean, come on, give them credit. They've got one of the better midfields in the competition if they're up and running. They've still got some potent forwards with Tom Lynch and Taylor Walker who could step up. No captaincy this year, so it could be a Travis Boak-like and just play with freedom and enjoy footy a little bit more. And the youngsters they've brought in are good quality as well. And don't forget, a new coach, a new vision, and a new voice really springs people into gear. So I do think they'll do a little bit more than people think, but will they do much damage fighting for the 8? I don't think so. But they'll probably surprise me and finish top 4 and all that crap as well. But yeah, 14th for now, but they'll definitely be thereabouts, especially later down the track. 13th is Hawthorn. Now, I don't know where Hawthorn sit. They just missed out on the 8 last year. They have some good players. Anyone that's sitting about 15th to about 6th, you just have no idea where they're sitting, and it's very hard to predict that middle bracket of teams. I feel like they will be around the mark. 13th, based on percentage probably. It'd just be a little bit more difficult for them with the teams starting to build. Teams are coming through the ranks now with the youngsters and becoming that, they're going to be a little bit more hungrier. And the teams above them that I'm about to say, you can definitely sense that. 12th will be St Kilda. Great recruiting in the off-season. Got some very good youngsters. and up and rising leaders as well. I think they will definitely be in the fight for the top 8 spot. 12th will basically be a couple of games that they've missed winning, but I can see them doing some damage and really hurting teams running into finals. And you know what? They could even be there with how good a performance they could be. They looked potent early on last year, but I just think the couple of new recruits they got, the likes of Dougal Howard, Paddy Ryder, and the rest that they got in as well, they're going to definitely be around the mark. The surprise packet for 2020 is going to be Carlton. They're going to be finishing 11th. They'll be around the mark for finals. Don't you worry about that. The injury of Charlie Curnow will definitely hurt them in the early on stages, but they got enough cavalry to cover him. Will they be in the top 8? Probably not, but they're going to be taking that bigger step forward, similar to what Brisbane have done. The year before, they finished around, I think it was 10th, and they just took that next step, and the step they're going to take now, Carlton, is going to be that exactly what they're going to be doing this year, and with the new coach and everything ready to go, look out. Finishing 10th is the grand finalist, GWS. Don't see them making the 8. I know I did it last year, but I'm doing it again. I just have a funny feeling that their time is up. I said that last year too, didn't I? And they're not going to make finals this year. I'm getting this right. And the teams I have it in the finals, they're going to be comments here galore. I can already tell it, but I'm putting it out there. I don't think they'll make the 8. They're going to finish 10th. They have the cavalry. They'll probably be in the mix. They'll probably finish top 4, but that's my bold tip for you. Don't think they'll make the 8. 9th is Melbourne. Can see them definitely bouncing back from a very disappointing 2019 season. They'll definitely be around the mark to make the 8, possibly even top 4. I do rate their list. They just have to get it right, and hopefully they don't slack off like they did last year. They've had a good pre-season. They're just going to be around the mark again. And, you know, you just look at their documentary series they're bringing out. That first episode there's a determination there, and you can sense it. And I definitely feel like they're coming back with a big, badder and better attitude towards this season. 8th is North Melbourne. Definitely surprised a few later in the year last year. Definitely an opportunity for them to really cement their chance at taking an opportunity where it's, you know, there's a lot of teams that are fighting for that 8th spot. You know, there's going to be at least 10 teams having a go between 6th and 15th. So they're going to be one of them. I reckon they'll take their opportunity. Got a pretty good draw. And I reckon the new coach might see him in finals. Finishing 7th is Geelong. I think their ageing list might catch up to them a bit this year. I did say they wouldn't finish in the 8 last year. They finished top of the frickin' ladder. But this year, I think, you know, they made a prelim. Could have been in the granny, but didn't take their opportunities in that game. And I think they'll just fade away a touch. I still think they'll be hard to beat. I just think 7th is probably a little bit more of a realistic finishing spot for them. But definitely they'll make it hard for teams and probably will make a prelim this year. 6th is Port Adelaide. I know a lot of people in the comments will be like, far out, he's being biased already. A little bit biased, but at the same time, 150 years, the second year of having the likes of Connor Rozee, Dersma, Butters. They've got new youngsters in with Bergman, Georgiadis, Williams. They're just going to be, and Jackson Mead as well. They're just going to be, I reckon, a little bit more of an edge towards Port Adelaide this year. And yeah, Ollie Wines is missing for the first few rounds of the season, but 150 years. There's a lot riding on Ken Hinkley's career here. I did say in the last video that my bold prediction is he'll be sacked by round 11. But I am thinking realistically for this, and they will finish 6th. They've got a good list, got a good draw, and this is a big opportunity for Port. And if they don't take it now, then this whole Ken Hinkley era is done, and we'll have to restart again with a new coach going into 2021. But for now, I think we'll finish 6th, and that's massive for the home final. Finishing 5th is Brisbane. I do feel like they will find it a touch harder this year. Still a home final in 5th spot. I don't think a lot of teams will take them easier like they did last year. Definitely Brisbane are one of my favourite teams to watch. And I feel like they'll do the job again. I think a couple of teams in the top 4 that I'm about to mention will definitely give them a run for their money, but they'll be around the mark, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in the granny. Finishing 4th is the Western Bulldogs. Now, they stormed home last year to make the 8. They've got a great list. They've got a great crop of youngsters, a great midfield group. And I think they're just starting to find their feet again. That 2016 form is starting to come back a little bit. Definitely could bite me on the arse, this prediction, and they won't finish in the 8 at all. I do think they will definitely be around the mark, and people are saying, they're in their prime position again. I just sense the same thing. They'll be a surprise packet this year, the Dogs, and just look out for them, especially going into September. Going into the last 3 now, I reckon you can guess who these 3 teams are. They're just a little bit above the rest. They've just got that edge. Collingwood will finish 3rd. I can see them definitely building again from their 2018 form. 2019 was a little bit difficult going into that later part of the year, but they definitely bounced back. Unfortunately, losing the prelim could hurt them mentally. They could find themselves in a bit of a tough spot, and could drop down a little bit. But they've got too much class running through the midfield, and they've got great defenders, and up forward as well. They've just got some options. So I do feel like again they'll get it right and be around the mark. Second is the Premiers in Richmond. Can sense with Alex Rance retiring, it might be a little bit harder for them. It might be, but I don't think so. I think they've just got that perfect mix, and they're hitting the sweet spot. They're in their era like the Brisbane Lions were in the early 2000s. They're in the era of Geelong. They're in the era of Hawthorn's three-peat. They're in that kind of form where once again they'll be right up the top, mixing it with the big boys. Well, they're not even mixing it with the big boys. They are the big boys. Richmond will definitely be the ones to beat again this year. And rivaling that top spot will be West Coast, number 1. The only thing I reckon West Coast will hurt them is injuries. Now, if they get too many injuries, then I think they're in a bit of strife. But home games, probably guaranteed wins. They've got some great recruits in. Tim Kelly's come over. Going to be a star. Their midfield's undeniably the best in the comp in terms of names alone, let alone form or ability. They've got the best key forwards in the business with Josh Kennedy, Jack Darling, up and coming stars like Rioli and Ryan. They're just going to be this team to beat. And I hate to say it because I don't like West Coast at all, and I'm sorry West Coast fans, but your team disgusts me. But in saying that, full respect, full credit. Your team is going to be one to beat this year. And it moves into my prediction of who wins the grand final. Who's going to be your premiers for 2020? And it's going to be West Coast. Can't see anyone else doing it because of the fact that of their ability. They'll go straight through with 2 home finals. They'll win they're going to beat Richmond, I reckon. West Coast versus Richmond grand final. And I think they'll just be too good. All right, let's head into the individual awards. The Brownlow Medal I'll start off with. I'm going to put my finger on one name. And it's going to be Marcus Bontempelli. He will be the Brownlow medalist. Was around the mark last year, finishing in the top 10. The Western Bulldogs just made the 8. Imagine what they're going to do when they make top 4, if they make top 4. He'll definitely be a Brownlow medalist one day, and I reckon it'll be 2020. Coleman Medal will be Tom Lynch from the Tigers. They're a high-scoring team, and he's definitely benefited from having Riewoldt in the side. He's just shining at the moment, and Riewoldt's taken that back step, and Tom Lynch is just one of the best forwards in the game now. He'll definitely be the one to beat in terms of the Coleman Medal. Well, there you have it. There are my 2020 AFL predictions for this upcoming season. I know there's going to be a couple that I'm going to definitely get wrong. My form isn't great with predicting seasons, but you know what? I'm having a go. So let me know in the comments below what you think about my predictions. Hopefully your team does well in 2020. I look forward to revisiting these at the end of the year, and I hope, for my sake, Port Adelaide get the job done, at least finishing 6th. That'll make me happy. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more AFL content. My name is Anthony, and as always, come the pair.